is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is Wednesday, 13th March, 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. The Strategic Services Agency, SSA Deputy Director of Intelligence, Joanne Bartholomew Daniel, has been suspended as of yesterday, Tuesday, along with 5 other employees pending the outcome of a wide-ranging police investigation. Electronic devices were taken from at least 5 SSA personnel amid the ongoing probe. However, Daniel's phone was not taken away from her during the suspension. The employees were suspended following a meeting which took place with acting SSA Director Brigadier Anthony Philip Spencer. Her suspension comes almost 2 weeks after SSA Director Major Roger Best was sent on administrative leave for questionable recruitment practices, according to sources. Multiple unqualified church members were employed in different SSA divisions, according to information obtained by the media. Officials at the Ministry of National Security has been informed about the matter about several employees working at the SSA. Police are now investigating several cases involving not only actions within the church and the SSA, but other alleged criminal acts. And this new development at the SSA followed a claim yesterday that government has a list of people who they're planning to remove from the SSA. Pastor Ian Brown yesterday said on Power 102 at least one of those names was to be announced yesterday, Tuesday. Pastor Brown told the Power Breakfast Show he was prepared to release the entire list. He described this as the darkest time in Trinidad and Tobago's history as it relates to crime. He said he's prepared to release the information on activities of certain ones in the SSA if the list touches certain persons. And Pastor Brown is defending the 5 persons from his congregation who worked at the SSA. He claimed they possessed the required qualifications to do the work which they required to carry out. Pastor Brown also claimed he continues to do his job for the SSA even after his home was searched recently by police officers in a raid. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has asked the public to be patient as an investigation into the SSA takes place. Following the sod-turning ceremony for the Citrus Close housing development yesterday, the Prime Minister was questioned about the latest developments regarding the SSA, the country's top intelligence gathering agency. On March 2nd, the Office of the Prime Minister announced the National Security Council was recommended to the Cabinet, that the head of the SSA be placed immediately on leave and new leadership and management be installed with dispatch. Yesterday, the Prime Minister assured action is being taken to right the ship. Since the SSA shakeup, there have been calls for an explanation with opposition members demanding answers. Oropouche East MP Dr. Rudal Monilal posed questions to the Prime Minister about it in Parliament. There have also been startling claims made by Pastor Ian Brown about his role as a spy in the SSA and other allegations. However, Dr. Rowley called for composure as the SSA investigation unfolded. He asked for patience as the investigation proceeded and the requisite actions were being taken. In some startling news, skeletal remains suspected to be that of an 18-year-old woman was found in Balsain yesterday. TTPS officers received intelligence that led them to the home off Booter Road, South Balsain at 10 a.m. yesterday, Tuesday. When they arrived, they saw several people at the house. Police dug into the backyard at around 3 p.m. and discovered remains in about a foot-deep, shallow grave. They believe the remains are that of 18-year-old Hannah Mathura, who is said to have a disability. A team of officers from the North Central Division and the Homicide Bureau, led by Senior Superintendent Richard Smith, Superintendent Douglas, and ACP Ramharak, responded. Senior officers reported that on Sunday they were given information that the body of a woman had been buried there since 2017. One of the older children in the household said he'd been allowed to leave to go to work to bring money for a male adult at the home. However, he was closely monitored. During one of the times he left the home, he managed to notify police about what was transpiring. His concerns that Matura had been missing for 7 years and she was suspected to have been buried in the backyard. 8 other children were found locked in the house at the time. She said the children appeared to be afraid and were often heard crying. A male relative who police believe was responsible for burying the teen's body was on the run up to press time. A third senior Massey Group executive is leaving the conglomerate. Massey Holdings Limited Executive Vice President Global Expansion David O'Brien on Friday announced his intention to resign from the company effective June 8, 2024, according to a notice from the group posted on the website of the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange yesterday. O'Brien retired as an executive chairman of Motors and Machines portfolio at the end of September 2022, following which he was appointed to his current position. O'Brien is the third executive from Massey to announce his departure from the company in the last 3 months. In news of the region, the Guyana Teachers Union President Mark Light is reporting talks with the Ministry of Education on collective bargaining had broken down yet again. A major point of contention is the period of negotiations. The union has been arguing for 2019 to 2023 to be addressed. However, the government is saying it should be from 2024. And finally, the Labor Department in America says the inflation rate picked up in February as prices of petrol and housing pushed higher. The annual rate, which was measured the pace of price increases, was 3.2% in February, up from 3.1% in January. Airfare, car insurance, and clothing were among the items driving the increase in the month. Grocery prices, which had jumped in recent years, fueling public discontent, were unchanged. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good Wednesday morning to you.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
It's the 13th day of March. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Hump Day Wednesday. Hope you guys had a great evening. And thank you for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show this morning on Power 102 Digital. Full casting this morning, 24 degrees at Piarco International Airport, 25 at Crown Point. Of course, Paul Richard, Super Paul is in. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen, Richard Ragoobarsingh. Shane is on some R&R. We got Ruben in the mix. My name is Steve Khan. All right, quickly, just tell you traffic-wise, just by Chase Village, you've got some volume. And from Charlieville, well, Chase Village, you got some traffic. Charlieville, you got some volume. Piarco to UE, and then Val Saint the Barataria, and heavier as you get in the swim call. Everywhere else, no problems to tell you about. All right. Good morning to you, Paul Richards.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning to you, pal. Let's see who sent us hellos first thing this morning via Facebook or YouTube. On YouTube, we've got Anthony Tinto out in Canada, Oliver Manwaran, Slick Money Grip, Godzilla out in Valencia, Wayne B in Covington, Georgia, Ewart Rajpal, Wendy and James, D. Pierre, good morning. Yes, it's Hump Day. Sasha, good morning out in London. CJ out in New York. Gloria Gray, Boy Bedesi, out in Davie. Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. John Cato, good morning. Evans David, Carol Guevara, Sherwin Kerr, Rita Boodoo Jennings, Nasser Mohammed out in Rio Claro, Huda Wells, Mrs. R is locked on, and Keisha Pierre, all watching us on Facebook and on YouTube. On WhatsApp, let's say good morning. Whoa, look at messages. Sankofa, good morning. Is this Val? Val, good morning to you as well. Dan Raj out in Central, good morning. Alistair Hart, Michael across in London, good morning to you as well. Yeah, all right, that's on WhatsApp at 318-1021. Yes, good morning, Paul. Lots of news yesterday.
Well, I see we're featured heavily on many newspapers this morning.
Okay, I'll have to check that in a short.
Trying to get Wendell in this thing. All right, there it is. There he is. Hold a second, please. Hold on.
Holding on. And there's a song like that. Maybe I should sing it.
Maybe I need to remove this one. So, right, there he is.
Sing it.
Good morning, Wendell.
Hi, morning, guys. Morning. How are you all? I haven't slept a wink. I'm feeling
Story of your
awful.
life.
I'm nasal. I'm feeling miserable. But anyway,
I have somebody else sent for you. She's very good at fixing those things.
oh gosh, no,
But
we have been having
she need a night.
we've been having a lot of bushfires in the area. So the suit is ending up across by me because like east of me, the whole place just burning.
Really?
You know. So the smoke and the dust is just having me miserable, you know. But we're here, happy to be the land of the living. Condolences to those who would have lost loved ones, and happy birthday to those celebrating birthdays. I'll try to find you a little later on. But yeah,
Yeah.
I had a
It is
miserable evening.
Shilma Wilson's birthday.
Today is Sherman's birthday. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
My good friend Dale Maharaj and Michelle Noons, my good friend as well.
I think I know Michelle Moons.
Of course you do.
Uh-huh.
Everybody does.
All right, let me get them then. Suzette Yip, she is the assistant with the Minister of Health, always very helpful. Suzette Yip, she's Mr. Dayal Singh's assistant. Kifana Hinkson Holder, my cousin who lives out in Canada. It is Sherma. I have Sherma twice and Suzette twice. I have Suzette 3 times. How is that? Eva Ramsawak is also celebrating her birthday today, and Chanel Henry, all celebrating birthdays today. Clayton Wiley also celebrating his birthday today. All right, so those are my birthdays.
Between the various postings on YouTube yesterday, your interview with the pastor is up to 7,000 views this morning.
Yeah,
Mm.
yes,
Mm.
yes. I've been monitoring it. Yesterday, as by midday, it was 1,500 already.
You'll have been quoted in the Guardian and Newsday this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And several other media houses reached out to him after his interview, and apparently his attorneys have told him he should not be speaking to anybody else.
Caught him just in time.
Well, I advise people if they've never looked at the Power Breakfast show before, look at it yesterday. Go back and watch that show yesterday. Judge for yourself. Hear for yourself, because all that Pastor Brown had to say before was reported speech. They were reporting him.
Well,
They get to see him and hear him
he
yesterday.
made some revelations yesterday that actually happened.
Did it happen? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He said people were going to be suspended, and they were.
Yeah. He said one in particular, and she was.
And she was. He said the only
Yeah.
person who could fire him.
Yeah.
And the other 5 who he said were employed by the church.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Amazing.
it happened.
Amazing.
So what else is he? Let me tell you something. But the one of the questions I asked him yesterday, and the paper, one of the papers, the Guardian, I think it is quoting the SSA Act and secrecy clauses, which is to me is a no-brainer with those kinds of jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And I did ask him, I said, aren't you breaching confidentiality or NDA? He said yes, and he's prepared to go to jail for it.
Well, yes, he did say that. Yes.
Well, I have the program and a file waiting for them to call me, because I know they're going to call.
I'm sure that program was shared yesterday.
They are going to call to ask. Nobody will call for the original recording.
Yeah. They have to go to the correct channels, the correct bureaucratic channels.
So, guys, I have it in a file. Just send the envelope.
Yeah.
Steve, expect a black car with blue lights to pull up in the car park.
Yeah, I will expect.
I will give it to you, and you will hand it over to the authorities.
No problem.
Just so you know, guys, there is an edit in the thing I'm sending, because Pastor Brown's WhatsApp did cut off, and I edited the part that was where he was not on, and I edited right to the point where he rejoined us. So that edit is not us creating mischief. That edit is just to facilitate the 45 or so minutes he was on, because in the middle there was nothing. Because you know they always touchy about editing.
Well, it was us talking. But I
took it out.
Oh, you took that out.
But you can get the whole thing on YouTube live.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that we've not edited anything for nefarious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
My phone didn't stop yesterday. Up to last night, people were calling me about that program.
Two media houses called me and asked me, "Oh, you get that scoop?" I said, "Because we can."
Super Paul.
I said, "Because we can."
Paul on 200 an election
Super
in my
Paul.
stipend. They could send an election in my stipend this month and too.
Why?
Don't be
I'll
afraid.
see my doubles here.
Because whole of Monday are saying anybody have Pastor Brown number, get it for me or call it or get him on the show. I was literally begging for that man on Monday.
Good morning to happy birthday to Cassie Dawn the Harrow. Is that a pronounced Dawn? Dero. Oh, sorry, Dero. Cassie, happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday,
from
Cassie.
your dad, Dawn Triton.
Yeah.
Love cake and ice cream on the Paul Breakfast Show.
I actually did some more work yesterday. I edited 4 clips that we'll share. We'll share some others as the week progresses.
Yeah.
For those who may not have seen it, and this is the fast one.
I had a fee for my house to make sure that I don't have 100 police blocking me from getting involved in this interview this morning. Because for a pastor to have approximately 100 police running him down and they wouldn't put 5 to track down a criminal is very, very interesting. So that's what took place on Saturday, and they blew my cover. And that's the reason why I'm going public now. You can't blow my cover and say, in front of my gate, you are this person, take off your cover, because when I go out on my beat, I go dressed differently. So it's not the face that people will see. If people see my face today who know I interact with them, they will not know this face. They will know a different face altogether. And that has been my way of working along with 2 other people for the past couple of years. And because of my training, which my boss doesn't know all about, he knows some things, but for what corruption is taking place in national security, he and I and one other person who is at the top of the agency is aware, but everything is being done presently to get me down so that if that head is down, then they could fire me. He's the only one who could fire me. So to cover up all the breaches, why it is we don't have the fight against crime being something that has been successful, regardless of the millions being pumped into it, there's a reason why. And we have everything on file, and they're trying to remove now all the righteous people in national security who are aware as to what the value of their integrity and their work is involved. The point is this: they started to remove some of them from yesterday. They have a list of people they're going to be removing. Today they're going to continue with that list. And I'm telling you, it's the darkest moment this country has ever faced. And if you all don't do something about it, I can't do anything. What I have determined to do is that if certain people are touched, I'm going with names public, with the proof as to what it is this one has been doing, that one has been doing, and why there are leaks that causes the commissioner of police to not be able to do her work. 3 commissioners of police know me personally. This present commissioner, she knows me. I might go to her like Nicodemus at night with files together with the head of the national security section. And the point is this: she will say when she gets the files, now who will I give this to? Because the point is this: she can't trust people as well. She has a hard job. I feel for this woman. She has integrity, but my gosh, what could you do when you have snakes and rats all over national security?
Yesterday,
Snakes and rats.
He did say
all
yesterday.
over national security.
He did say yesterday that we're seeing the darkest day in Trinidad and Tobago, and I didn't quite understand what he meant, but certainly the day got darker with that discovery in Valsain.
Yes,
that's
got darker. That was a horror story that clearly needs more people and more information coming out of it.
Yeah. Where are the adults in that household?
Well, I don't know. They said
Well, Steve,
one
there
of
was there seemed to have been a male adult who, I don't know if the story has been updated, who is now seemingly on the run from officers who officers believe may have been responsible. There were other children, according to neighbors, but seems to be a young man who some people were allowed to go out to work to bring money into the household, and they were closely supervised. And this young man, apparently on one of his expeditions out to work, he went and reported to police what he thought was happening, and that's how the police were able to visit the place and dig into the backyard and find the skeletal remains of this 18-year-old girl who was said to have a disability.
Yes.
So it seemed that this primary adult who clearly was but they said somebody saying 70 to 25 years. So there were other young adults in the house supervised by this older adult who seemed to have had these children. They said they were locked up and in some instances heard to be crying. So it's a horror story.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It is.
And when he was asked by the neighbors, where's X and Y, Hannah Matura, seemingly the person they're inquiring about because they had not seen her for a while, he said he didn't know.
Yeah. 7 years ago, she disappeared. That's what they're saying.
And how many other children are disappearing in the country and nobody is taking note?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
And to know that this could be happening in a neighborhood, any neighborhood, but even a neighborhood like South Valsane, right behind Val Park Plaza, it's amazing. You know, nobody noticed that. No neighbor noticed what was going on there. To say something, that's.
But the neighbors noticed and they asked questions. But I mean, children cry in houses all the time.
Yeah. And if they're going to work and coming home.
And if you're going to work and coming back, you're going out and coming back, well, nobody
normal.
Might seem normal. Is it children cry in houses? Children get upset from time to time. So that might be a red flag as such.
But the red flag would be: do the children belong to the home? Are they children? Are they relatives of the home? Do they belong there?
And how would the neighbors know?
No, that's what I'm saying. That would be a red flag for me.
How would if you're accustomed to seeing children? I don't think somebody strange. And if somebody strange comes into your household who is not accustomed being there, you have a visitor, a nephew or something, why would that be a red flag for neighbors?
Well, Paul, it should be in these times we live in, eh?
No,
Sorry to say,
I'm not following the logic.
Well,
and a strange child coming into a household and spending time, how is that a red flag?
I'm saying that happening like something like that happening at that magnitude. We ain't talking 2 or 3 children, you know. They reported 9 or so children yesterday.
And 9 children in a household is a strange thing.
In a neighborhood like that, it may be.
What, Valentine different than somewhere else?
No, are you not following me? You clearly.
No, I'm not. I'm not following you.
That's all right.
Wow.
That's all right. That's why these places.
One of the children went to Hillview College.
That's why these neighborhoods get away with things like that, unfortunately. Wow. Because we don't find anything strange in these neighborhoods. These neighborhoods are perfect.
My contention has nothing to do with the Valentine aspect of it. I'm saying I know places all over the place where you have 10 children, 6 children in a household. And it's not passing strange. If the children are coming and going to school, coming back. Why is it strange? Unless the children report some abuse or something, or you see some abuse. Something that you suspect is abuse.
Didn't you just say the children were also screaming?
I never. You heard me use the word screaming.
Well, crying out.
Crying. I never said crying out.
I did crying.
Words. I never said crying out. I said crying. I never said screaming. Trying to build a case now. That's not successful.
I don't have to build any case.
Why are you adding words to what I'm saying?
I don't have to build any case. We are talking about an incident that went under the cover of
Absolutely.
a neighborhood or of people for years.
And you're saying, where are you trying to identify red flags? I don't see the red flags.
I'm sure that there
The only
were.
red flag that I would have identified is when the neighbors reported to the police that they inquired about the young girl, Hannah Matura. I don't know if she was 18 then or she's 18 now. Upon the
she would have been
discovery of
18
what
now.
they suspect to be her remains. And they asked where she, and he said he doesn't know. You understand? And if you say it, well, she went away, she migrated, is one thing. But if you've said, well, I don't know where a 14-year-old and 18-year-old, the 18-year-old is within her legal rights to leave and go where she wants. And you may not know where she's gone because she's a legal adult. A 14-year-old, however, if you say you don't know where she is, that could be a red flag. But I don't know, based on the way the stories are written, if she was 18 7 years ago or if she's 8 or she would have been 18 now. Based on how the stories are written.
Yeah. Well, a good friend of mine is saying that one of the kids, worked with them for many years.
Kids working?
Well, they're between 17 and 24. One
of the young people.
One scholarship. One of the young people, yes.
It's just a disturbing story. And for the police to go and carry her back on. Fortunately, the young man got the courage to go and report to police when he went off to work a day and inform the police, and they found this grisly find at the back of the house. It's like, the person died. I don't know how she died. Let me just say she stopped breathing for now. You understand?
Yeah, the children are quite bright. I understand.
You know what this fits in? This fits in the realm of almost anything that happens in a neighborhood or household or whatever. There are signs, that people ignore. There are signs that people have been ignoring. I'm sure that there were signs people were ignoring in that particular incident too, in that particular instant. And that's why we end up in these places. And it's not it happened right now somewhere near to somebody. How people are taking chances with children, I don't even know. Err on the side of caution. Call the police. Alert somebody. Let them go and find, okay, everything is all right. Better you take that chance.
You have no argument for me there.
Huh?
You have no argument for me with that.
Yeah, don't be taking chances with children, man. I get so upset when I read and hear about these things, eh?
Yeah.
My children are all adults now, and I don't take chances with them.
A third senior Massey Group executive is leaving the conglomerate. Massey Holding Limited's Executive Vice President Global Expansion, David O'Brien, on Friday announced his intention to resign from the company effective June 8th, 2024, according to Ragoobarsingh de Bachchan-Mikatai. Good morning.
Good morning, guys, and good morning to our listeners and viewers, wherever you are.
O'Brien retired as executive chairman.
Like, you get some sleep.
Or sex, or both.
Or love ups.
Love up?
He doesn't love up, he does the other thing.
Let me switch my mic off.
What's the other thing?
Well, I want to know what's the other thing. What's the other thing, Paul?
What do young people call it these days?
Please educate us.
He get jam. He engaged in some jamming.
Jam up?
Jam up?
I don't know.
So he retired as chairman of that conversation fast. Chairman of Motor and Machines portfolio at the end of September 2022. When he was appointed to his current position, he's the third executive in Massey to announce their departure from the company in the last 3 months amid musings of Obia and I see dead people and etc. First was Angelique Pastor Potter, who resigned effective December 27 after she raised the issue of what she described as strange occurrences. Then was Gervais Warner, the group CEO, and now this person, Massey Cleaning House out. Or the restructuring. You know when the people are politically correct, yes, the restructuring.
Mm-hmm.
We're restructuring the organization for more operational efficiency. We're throwing out the brooms and the black candles and the other paraphernalia, and we're cleaning out.
Well, we've done some restructuring on the breakfast show before.
You see why he's getting in trouble? You see why he's getting in trouble?
I speak the truth.
Why he's getting in trouble?
I speak the truth. Not everybody appreciates it, but I speak the truth.
Anyway, back to the Pastor Brown conversation. The Prime Minister commented and said, give the investigation time to be completed. He chastised Dr. Munilal and the insinuating an investigation was not ongoing.
Mm.
And my contention, but I can't talk about it. I want to think about it. I can't see it because it happened in a closed meeting. So let's move on. So Pastor Brown yesterday made some revelations that followed through to be true today. He said there were going to be more suspensions and possibly more firings. He did say that.
To warn, to uphold, and to protect and serve, I am determined to do what I have been assigned to do as a police officer. So I'm speaking to you all this morning as a police officer. My cover has been exposed. All the neighbors and people who are around came like it was a big sideshow to see what was happening with all these police vehicles.
So you're still employed by the Toronto Police Service as an SRP as of today?
Yes, sir. The thing is, they took my uniforms and they took my police ID card, and they wanted everything I had in connection with national security as a form of ID to be handed over to them. The warrant that I sent to you all, the copy of the warrant, states clearly that they are there to get illegal arms and ammunition. Since when a police uniform is an illegal arm or ammunition, and the normal police taking it, and here what they're telling me, they are taking it because they had to confirm if I'm really a police officer. But they have my ID, they know my background, they know when I started. So it's just lies after lies after lies. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, everything is so spiffy now. Very well done, Paul.
But didn't former Commissioner Griffith also confirm that this man was an SRP? I think
yes, he did. I saw it in one of the papers today. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, certain people were suspended. So I'm just curious whether any of these people that were suspended were righteous people, and if we can expect the opening of those envelopes that he indicated yesterday. Yeah. He said if any righteous people were touched, he was going to release names and. Well, I'm not so sure what's in the envelope, but he said it was going to be released, so I'm waiting for it to be released today. Unless the people who were suspended yesterday weren't righteous. Yeah.
Remember yesterday he said that Major Best was brought to the church by someone from high up in the security services. Remember?
Well, I don't remember high up in the security service. I remember he said he was brought to the church by someone.
I'm using my words with high up in the security services. I think, and I had asked him if it was a woman. I had asked him that, but he didn't answer that part of the question. But I think that the connection is there today, you know, that the one of the people suspended yesterday was in fact the person who took Major Best to the church.
And how do you come to that?
I can't say it on air.
You have insider information.
Or you're saying that you have information that that's the person?
Yeah,
because that was not divulged yesterday, so I don't know what you're talking about.
No, he didn't say who it was. He didn't answer that part of the question. But remember, he said Major Best was brought to the church by someone, right?
He said by someone. He never said by whether the person was inside or outside the SSA, inside or outside the police service. He said by someone.
find back that part of the tape. If you could find back that part
No,
of the
no, I
tape.
can't do that this morning, so that's too much work. I'll find it for you at some other point.
It don't have to be today. We have a whole week.
Yes, we do.
Unless you plan to go somewhere.
You plan to send me somewhere?
We only have 2 more days in a week, huh? Like it's Monday. It's not Monday, Wendell. It's midweek. But you know, an interesting conversation. I know some of the comments from listeners and viewers that was running alongside the interview were not very complimentary. And people raising all manner of issues, but it was, interesting / bizarre almost. The amount of information that was coming out, and you know, he kept saying this was the darkest days, or it will be the darkest time, or something along that line was the adjective he was using.
Yes, he used the darkest day.
And I'm not so sure in what sense he meant. If he meant that I don't know what he meant by the darkest day. But I'm curious to see whatever else comes out, because he obviously talks as if he has a lot of information.
Yeah. He said it was also strengthen our security. I'm not sure how.
Well, I asked him, let me find the clip. I asked him specifically if when one enters these kinds of arrangements with national security, SSA police, if they had NDAs or confidentiality clauses. I see the Guardian is quoting a clause in the SSA Act which speaks to secrecy of persons operating within the SSA and criminalizing divulging information outside of the SSA. So, but I did ask him about it, and he said he's prepared to go to jail. Remember that?
Yes, he did that. Yeah.
Pastor Brown, you mentioned that your cover is now blown, and that people know about you. You've admitted that you, in your words, you associated with former Commissioner Williams. You've worked with McDonald Jacob, former Commissioner Griffith, and now Mrs. here with Christopher. Your cover is blown. Are you worried about your safety, part 1? And 2, are there NDAs or confidentiality clauses signed based on what you describe as the nature of your work? And if so, how are you able to speak now on these issues?
Okay, so far I haven't said anything. I haven't signed anything with the police service concerning any clause. I work as a police officer. My duty and my honor to the police service that has a lot of people with integrity, and then you have some scams and rats, obviously. But I uphold the honorable position of a police officer. And it is my duty, I'm duty bound to protect the people and serve. I only spoke because they blew my cover. You can't come to my home, stop me, frisk me down in front of my gate, have about 50 people coming around the neighborhood because there are police vehicles from one end of my corner to the next end of my corner. That's how many vehicles. And watching and listening to all of the conversations, realizing that I was a police officer, I had a hand over my this, I had a hand over my that, and then they proceed to spend 5 hours at my home. Which criminal or crook do they do that within this country?
Interesting. I still don't think what he said justifies, and he said there seems to be some sort of confusion as to if, because he said he's a police officer, but you're a police officer seemingly doing work for the SSA. Would that be your assumption also, Wendell?
Well, he confuses me in that aspect.
It's kind of confusing sometimes because, were you working for the SSA? Were you not working for the SSA? If you're a police officer not working for the SSA, why the raid in your house?
It appears that he was made.
He said the raid. We asked directly if the raid in the house is directly linked to Major Best admin leave situation. He said yes. So if you're a police officer and you're not linked to the SSA, why would the raid be linked to your house? And I don't know.
So here my interpretation of it, right? This is my interpretation of it. That he is in fact an SRP. And because of his connection with the church and getting to know the head of the SSA, he was engaged to do covert work for them.
But he said the head of the SSA did not know the duties he carried out undercover.
Right. I'm guessing that when the head of the SSA eventually met him, again, this is my interpretation, that he decided he will use him in to help them.
There's another name that should have come up in that conversation that I'm not at liberty to speak.
But I mean, the logical inference from the conversation was that he was a police officer via SRP.
Right.
He was a police officer, or is a police officer actually, and he was working for the SSA.
Yeah.
Remember,
And that's
he
the
said
reason he was able to work for the SSA under national security by becoming an SRP.
yes.
So I
Right.
don't understand
That's
why he wouldn't be bound by confidentiality or NDA clauses or secrecy clauses. I don't understand that.
But he said it. He said he was embarrassed by his cover being blown and all these police officers outside his place.
I don't
So
know
I
that
guess
that
he
clause
said
has. I don't know that clause has. If your cover is blown, you can talk.
Well,
obviously he says he doesn't care.
yeah.
He said he's willing to go to jail.
He said he was willing to go to jail. And remember what I can't remember who asked him. I think was it you, Wendell, or was it you, Paul? I can't remember who asked him what were some of the cases.
Yeah, I had asked him what he might have solved in his undercover work.
Right.
And he mentioned Dana Sita Hall.
Yeah, Dana
matter.
Sita Hall's matter.
Which was so scary to me,
Yeah.
given the circumstances surrounding that case, that you would admit on open media that you were instrumental in getting information that led to, I guess, the arrest and charging of persons associated with that.
Well, he went further. He said that because camera footage identified 2 cars, and he went into the neighborhood to identify the cars because all the other police officers were afraid to go.
Yeah,
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he man said.
Steve, can you pull up dun 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 dun. Do you have papers, Ragoobarsingh? I have no question in my mind this morning.
Actually, I do have papers. So
Well, we can ask a question concerning. Oh goodness, I just threw down my bottle of water. We can ask a question concerning the prediction that Miss Pastor Brown made yesterday.
You just threw down your water all over the place. So
Yeah, but this one luckily threw right
usually
back.
it's
On
not
me.
bottled, but I mean,
This one threw right back on me. So this one safe.
oh, that happens.
This one safe.
It throws back at you sometimes.
Can I do the headlines?
I won't get any stalkers after this.
I'll do the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian first.
Under construct the question, please.
Yeah, I'll do the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian first. And the Guardian for this morning. Of course, just in case you didn't know, today is Wednesday, March 13th, 2024. House of Horrors is the headline. Teens' bones found at family's Valsane home after 7 years. Police probe other strange happenings. 4 siblings detained, male relative on the run. All of that is on the front page, and there is a picture of them, I suppose, carrying away. Let me see, the caption is a little small. Undertakers remove the skeletal remains, believed to be that of 18-year-old Hannah Mathura. SSA officers quizzed. PM says be patient on probe, and CARICOM optimistic of solution to Haiti crisis. Really?
The story I hear about that, let me tell you something. All I will say is good old America again.
That Haiti crisis is a mess.
Good old America again.
Yeah.
So, Prez Shagona's triumphs. That's the back page headline in the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today. So moving on to another one. I'm going on to the Newsday now. The front page of the Newsday. Valsane House of Horrors, almost similar to the TNT Guardian. Teen buried in yard, believed dead since 2017. 8 children locked in house. And there's a picture of the house. Pastor threatens to reveal state secrets. That's on page 5. Oh, and it's actually from the interview we did yesterday. So, spy pastor threatens to release state secrets in an interview on Power 102 FM on Tuesday. Ian Brown says he will release confidential information to the public if he is killed. That's kind of a strange construction of that sentence, Newsday. But anyway, and on the back page of the Newsday, indescribable feeling for players, coaching staff as Prez break SSFL drought. Red Force coach confident in Otley's abilities. That's the front and the back of the Newsday. On to Daily Express this morning. What headline did they go with? What led to SSA shakeup? Takeover plot uncovered. Takeover plot uncovered.
Dun. Let me see if I can find that.
House of Horror. Bones believed to be those of missing girl buried in backyard of Valsane property. Skeleton remains found. Police investigators walked past an excavator which was used to uncover the skeleton remains in the backyard of the house at Butu Road, Valsane. All of that is on the front page. I'm curious to see what it meant by takeover plot uncovered. And on the back page of the Daily Express, A4 TNT target victory against leaders Winwoods. And that's it. Windies Championship 4th round fixtures. All of that is on the back page of the Daily Express this morning. So now you know what the 3 dailies are covering as the main stories this morning in Trinidad and Tobago.
All right. Well, let's get the results of our morning poll from yesterday, where we asked you, do you think Mrs. Kamala Prasad-Visesa can unite NTA and PEP for the general elections that will take place in 2025? Well, the results are in, and 57% said no. All right, let's get into this morning's poll. We have it up already. Right.
So that interview that we did yesterday is also in the Express. They're referencing
based on the interview that we did yesterday, Tuesday, do you think the statement
Good morning, media.
Brown are legit? That's our poll.
Which are you writing?
Yes or no? Do you think the statements from Pastor Brown are legit? Yes or no?
Yeah, I can write. Yeah.
Okay.
Right? That's our poll. 222-855. Toll-free North Americans, 866-525-1099. Yeah, that's our numbers. Finbar Collins, good morning. Philomena, Dr. Nitz, Modu Jennings, Shamfa.
Philomena, Ali, you said that?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So let's get those votes in. Got some coming in already. Mo Gaines says yes to polls. Nasser Mohammed says yes. Let's see. Captain Ron says yes. Dan Raj says yes. Vaughn Drayton says yes. Grandy is on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Sandy Grandy, yes.
Lovely. Thank you. Cascade St. Anne's says no. Adrian Koto says yes. Wayne B says yes. Boy Bedesi says yes. I did Vaughn Drayton already. Do you think the statements from Pastor Brown from our interview yesterday with him are legit?
That's our poll this morning. To talk 222-8255 North Americans. You can weigh in 866-525-1099. Yes, the diaspora or Americans, of North Americans, if you're listening, We never are short of bacchanal happening in this small island state.
Yeah, boy.
So you can also weigh in, and of course, people can weigh in on WhatsApp on at 318-1021. Of course, put the 868 before the 318-1021, and of course, you can also send your votes via the messaging platforms on all where we are streaming, whether it be LinkedIn, Insta Live, YouTube, Facebook, etc., etc.
Good morning,
All
Guardian
right.
Express and Newsday. Thank you so much for ascribing the proper credits to the source of your information yesterday.
Oh,
Who's
okay.
that?
Julia S. Batiste says yes. Cheryl Henry did a show in. No.
Someone just quote us and we
Michael
don't put it in
Robertson says
credit
yes.
yourself. I'm trying to get Major Best.
Or we could also try for the deputy, Ms. Bartholomew Daniel.
I'm sure neither of those two who have official positions will be speaking to anyone.
Eve
But I can ask.
Sugar Gorner says yes. Mars versus Venus. Okay. Royalty Forever says yes.
We could get it. We could try to get the Prime Minister.
Him too.
That's Wendell.
Or the Minister of National Security. He will speak, I'm sure.
We could get him too.
Yeah.
Right.
Try for
Do you think
anybody.
the statements from Pastor Brown are legit? Yes or no? All right. Of course, we interviewed him yesterday on the Paul Breakfast Show. Lorna, morning, Lorna. Indy, Carly, yes.
But I think Gary Griffith is also somebody you could interview because he was part of it in the sense of he says over 3 commissioners, and he didn't deny that Gary Griffith was one. And I'm seeing in one of the articles today, he said that Gary would make an excellent prime minister because he's a man of God.
Pastor Brown said that.
Well, the Express said that he said.
I know about that, Lord.
No, sorry. Look, yeah. Pastor wants Gary for PM. Look, can you all see it?
Apparently, the pastor was on record as saying Gary gave his life over to God and so on.
All right, let's grab this call. Good morning.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
That's sweet of him.
Yes. Before I tell you yes or no, you all have a blessed day.
What she wants to know?
What? Gloria Gray says yes. Mrs. R says no. Morning, Roger T. Tapish Scrum, okay. Slick Money Grip says no. Aloha, yes.
Olufemi.
Val says yes via WhatsApp. Long Islander says yes. Morning to you guys.
This thing is going to take on a political spin, you know that, right? Prepare for it, right?
Well, there's also in the Express today, there's also an article where they talk about discovery of takeover plot led to best SSA departure, Christian coup.
Gentlemen, we have calls coming with the poll. Good morning.
Good morning again. What I said, I would like him to take a lie detector test. That is what I said. You all have a blessed day.
Oh, you want
Well,
to
he referenced lie detector testing, and that only very few officers passed it. Remember, he said that?
He implied the church members would have been the ones to be righteous and pass the lie detector
And
test.
they passed it. He said that. They passed the test.
Oh, the investigative desk of the Trinidad and Tobago Daily Express is saying a plan hatched within the Strategic Services Agency to establish a military-style pro-Christian government was allegedly discovered and became the trigger for Major Roger Best being sent on administrative leave.
A pro-Christian government.
Military-style, you didn't hear that part? All you hear was pro-Christian?
Listen, Well, this story have so many parts, but you had to come by Rumbox Friday. I will tell all you the rest.
Yeah, remind me. But you
I
know,
see,
Paul
I
don't
see.
turn up. I's only turn. I's be the only one turn up.
Yeah, true. Eh? Paul, like he come there once and like he frightened to come back. I don't know why. Who scare you away, Paul? Harper?
Based on the interview yesterday, do you think the statements from Pastor Brown are legit? That's our poll this morning. 222 Talk, 222-8255, North Americans, 866-525-1099, people on the web and the app and all of the streaming services. You can send it via the comment section or message section there. You can also use WhatsApp at 868-318-1021. Any more votes, Steve?
We just have what? Okay. Okay, no.
Listen,
Cheryl
I wanna-
Henry.
I want to raise something here, right?
All right, gentlemen, we need to focus on the
Don't
poll a little bit. So let's get into it. And we just want yes. So good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
No.
No, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Stephen. Bobby from Granby.
Hi, Bobby. Morning.
Morning to the gangs, Wendell, Richard, and Paul Richard. Great program. So pertaining to the question is that everybody has a judgmental side. But so what people are saying about this person is that having a person like that into what faith, even what religion, I think it has to be something much more than that because no one will come out and say, look, this is so and so and so.
All right. So you would say yes or no?
No.
All right. Thanks, Bobby.
Okay.
All righty.
Beefy Smith
Brennan
says yes.
Smith, Beefy Smith out in Goodwood, Tobago says yes. Beauty Culture says no. Okay. All right, Roger T.
Yeah. Mrs. Prasad Bisesa, the opposition leader, in my opinion, was very disrespectful in her description of Major General Anthony Phillips Spencer on her platform on Monday. Very, very disrespectful. The words used to describe a decorated officer like Anthony Phillips Spencer, very, very disrespectful. On a political platform,
All right. Do you think the statements from Pastor Brown are legit based on our interview we did with him yesterday on the Paul Breakfast Show? All right. Give us a call 222-8255 and message us on WhatsApp, Facebook, or YouTube. Yes or no's.
This Christian Coup article is very interesting, but I mean, I don't know how legit it is, but a Christian organization with a minuscule membership of less than 100 persons dominated one of the country's most sensitive security agencies and was at the center of the takeover plot.
Remember what I asked yesterday, Richard? I asked if, because I found it passing as strange, if to the pastor that of an agency like that, the country's top intelligence gathering agency, 6 people from one church being employed, he didn't find it strange.
well,
I find
he
it
can't
very
find it
strange.
He can't find it strange, Paul, if he is of the belief that righteous people need to be in these positions.
So it's only righteous people from that church.
Well, yeah,
Well, he did say righteous people could be across all religions. He did say that.
yeah.
And Marie says no. All right, gentlemen, we got to run into our 7 o'clock major news. Let's do that right now. Evie is in.
Streaming now on your mobile device, tablet, and desktop. Power 102 Digital. This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
The Strategic Service Agency's Deputy Director of Intelligence is suspended. This after Pastor Ian Brown's claims that there's a list of people on the SSA there are plans to remove. Meanwhile, Pastor Brown defends the 5 people employed in the SSA from his congregation, and skeletal remains suspected to be that of an 18-year-old woman found in the scene. Details in a moment. This is News to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sintel-Bab. Good morning. The Strategic Services Agency's Deputy Director of Intelligence, Joanne Bartholomew Daniel, was suspended on Tuesday, along with 5 other employees, pending the outcome of a wide-ranging police investigation. Electronic devices were taken from at least 5 SSA personnel amid the ongoing probe. However, Daniel's phone was not taken away from her during her suspension. The employees were suspended following a meeting that took place with Acting SSA Director Brigadier Anthony Philip Spencer. Her suspension comes almost 2 weeks after SSA Director Major Roger Bast was sent on administrative leave for questionable recruitment practices. Multiple unqualified church members were employed in different SSA divisions, according to information obtained by the media last week. Officials at the Ministry of National Security had been informed about the matter by several employees working at the SSA. Police were now investigating several cases involving not only actions within the church and the SSA, but also other alleged criminal acts. But this new development at the SSA followed a claim yesterday that government has a list of people who they are planning to remove from the SSA. Pastor Ian Brown told the Power Breakfast Show that he was prepared to release information on the activities of certain ones in the SSA if the list touched certain persons.
They started to remove some of them from yesterday. They have a list of people they're going to be removing. Today they're going to continue with that list. And I'm telling you, it's the darkest moment this country has ever faced. What I have determined to do is that if certain people are touched, I'm going with names public, with the proof as to what it is this one has been doing, that one has been doing, and why there are leaks that causes the Commissioner of Police to not be able to do her work. 3 commissioners of police know me personally. This present commissioner, she knows me. I might go to her like Nicodemus at night with files together with the head of the National Security Section. And the point is this, she will say when she gets the files, now who will I give this to? Because the point is this, she can't trust people as well.
He admitted he's worked with past police commissioners Stephen Williams and Gary Griffith, and that he's presently working with the police commissioner Earl Haywood Christopher. He revealed there are reasons why there are leaks in the SSA, and he said that there's one other person they're trying to remove that knows as much as he does.
And that is a guarantee that the rats in national security remain and run SSA instead. I have the names, I lodged the names in a sealed envelopes by 3 lawyers. So if they kill me, they know they have to reveal these things because they kill me. I'm almost 70 years old. Look at my face. I've served with honor. I live for Jesus Christ, and my integrity is because of Jesus. And that is why they love me so much, because I will do the right thing. I will not lie or compromise with the truth and with the way they want righteousness to stand in the nation.
He said he's only speaking out because his cover was blown. He said that he was treated as a criminal when the police came to his home to carry out investigations. He shared that he was employed by the SSA and that cover was blown when police officers entered his yard.
Police ID card, and they wanted everything I had in connection with national security as a form of ID to be handed over to them. The warrant that I sent to you all, the copy of the warrant, states clearly that they are there to get illegal arms and ammunition. Since when a police uniform is an illegal arm or ammunition, and the normal police taking it, and here what they're telling me, they are taking it because they had to confirm if I'm really a police officer. But they have my ID, they know my background, they know when I started. So it's just lies after lies after lies.
Meanwhile, Pastor Brown is defending 5 persons in his congregation which worked for the SSA. He claimed they possessed the required qualifications to do the work, so they were required that they were required to carry out.
There are 5 people, and they all have their degrees. They are very qualified. Masters, bachelors, extra trading, all kind of stuff. Proficient.
Were
And
you
SSA
instrumental in
is
getting
not-
them hired because of your relationship with the organization?
They didn't even know I wasn't there. And if in my assembly, they found 5 people who are straight and they are qualified, what is wrong? They find Muslims who are straight and are qualified. What is wrong?
Pastor Brown claimed he continues to do his job for the Strategic Services Agency even after his home was searched by police officers. He says he worked at the SSA as an intelligence officer. A stipend was also given to him. During the interview, he was asked whether in the execution of his duties he was called upon to gather intelligence on any politician from the government or opposition. In his response, he said his work focused mainly on police work, and he answered in the negative. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has asked the public to be patient as an investigation into the SSA takes place. Following the sword-turning ceremony for the Citrus Close housing development yesterday, the Prime Minister was questioned about the latest developments regarding the SSA, the country's top intelligence agency. On March 2nd, the Office of the Prime Minister announced that the National Security Council recommended to the Cabinet that the head of the SSA be replaced immediately and that new leadership and management be installed with dispatch. Yesterday, the Prime Minister assured action is being taken to right the ship. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Skeletal remains suspected to be that of an 18-year-old woman were found yesterday in Valsayn. TTPS officers received intelligence that led them to a home off Butu Road, South Valsayn at 10 a.m. yesterday. When the officers arrived, they found several people at the house. Police dug into the backyard, and at around about 3 p.m., they discovered remains about a foot deep in the earth in a shallow grave. The remains believed to be that of 18-year-old Hannah Mathura, who was said to have a disability. A team of officers from the North Central Division and Homicide Bureau, led by Senior Superintendent Richard Smith, Superintendent Douglas, and ASP Ramharak, responded. Senior officers reported that on Sunday they were given information that the body of a woman had been buried there since 2017. One of the older children in the household, said that he had been allowed to leave to go to work to bring money in for a male adult at the home. However, he was usually closely monitored. But during one of the times he left the Valsayn home, he managed to notify the police of what was transpiring and his concerns that Mathura had been missing for about 7 years, and she was suspected to have been buried in the backyard. 8 other children were found locked in the house at the time. A neighbor said the children appeared to be afraid and were often heard crying. She said she did not know exactly how many children lived in the house, but she said some of the children had received scholarships and went to university. A male relative who police believed was responsible for burying the teen's body was on the run up until press time. Well, finally, here is weather news for the period today until midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, sunny and at times breezy and windy, with the low chance of the isolated shower, fair night. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature of a warm 34 degrees Celsius at Piarco International Airport and 32 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, the temperature at Piarco is 26 degrees. It is 27 degrees Celsius at Crown Point. Please remember that there is a hazardous seas alert yellow level that is presently in effect. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, the Strategic Services Agency's Deputy Director of Intelligence is suspended along with 5 others. This after Pastor Ian Brown's claims that there's a list of people on the SSA who there are plans to remove. Meanwhile, Pastor Brown defends the 5 people employed in the SSA from his congregation, and skeletal remains suspected to be that of an 18-year-old woman found in Valsayn. I'm Avril Sintilbab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. There's more news in detail at 12 noon today and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you, Evie, for our major news. You can join her again come 8 o'clock for our news brief. Quickly take a look at traffic. Yep, where you think you're going to get traffic, you will. Diego Martin. Is that an accident I'm seeing in Diego Martin? Okay. Maraval is very heavy this morning. East-West corridor, Piarco, out of Central from Chin Chin Road to Ibis Gardens, Kelly Village. Take a look at San Fernando and the South, Gala Corner Connector Road in South, you're heavy. Going through St. Margaret's Village, Claxton Bay, heading towards California, you've got some traffic. But then you're really going to get traffic this morning from Charlieville, heading towards the interchange. All right? Getting back to our morning poll, do you think the statements from Pastor Brown's are legit? This stemming from our interview we did with him yesterday. Any more votes? I got Cheryl Johnson saying no. That's it. And let me just check WhatsApp quickly. I have got Alistair Hart saying yes to the poll. All right, so there you go. Right. Yes, gentlemen. So let's get a result before we bring our guest on. Let's get a result of our morning poll. Based on our interview yesterday.
Was it 2 yeses you just gave, Steve?
I gave 1 yes and 1 no. Yeah. Do you think the statements from Pastor Brown are legit?
I think you may have missed some just at the 7 o'clock hour, you know. Carol Guevara, Scorpion Pepper, Kenny in Harlem. I'm not sure you got those. Carol Guevara was a no, Scorpion Pepper was a yes, Kenny in Harlem was also a no.
Okay, I don't have
those came out just as you were wrapping up to do the news.
So what are the results?
So there were 31 people voting in the allotted time. Of the 31 people voting, 21 said yes and 10 said no. So 21 said yes, 10 said no. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day, through our programming. And we give the final results tomorrow, which will be Thursday morning, which always puts a smile on my face because it heads towards the week.
All right. Let us bring our guest on. Criminologist Darius Figuera. Good morning. How are you doing?
Morning. Greetings.
Greetings to you.
Morning, Darius. How are you, man? Good to see you.
Morning, sir. Hi there.
I like the bed. Is it possible you could turn your volume control up a bit? Your volume is a little low.
Quite low. Darius is preparing come December 25th.
Nope. Good enough.
We'll make it work.
Yeah, just come closer to your device and we'll be all
right. All right. Bring it up now. See loud?
Yeah.
Good?
No. Down a
Bring
bit.
it down?
Yes. Bring it to 75%.
How is that now?
That's perfect.
Fine.
Okay.
There we go.
Good morning.
Good morning to you once
Morning,
again.
Mr. Figuera.
Morning.
Let me start by asking your thoughts on the latest reverberations regarding the Strategic Services Agency, and are you surprised?
No, because there are underlying realities. We have issues with the national security apparatus that first appeared under the governance of the PP government, that is once again making headlines under the two-term PNM government. So that is indicating to me that the crisis in national security exists at the level of the idea. There's something that is fundamentally amiss with the manner in which we analyze the threat terrain, and we operationalize responses to mitigate this threat. There's something fundamentally wrong with how we are viewing. So in an era in which we have rivers of blood continuing to drench this country with gun violence especially, driven by this internecine war that is going on between two transnational organized crime business models that are not compatible. We have a bacchanal over the SSA with 4 discourses in contention to try to convince the public of a reality, which indicates to me deep-seated crisis.
So I'm not too sure I'm understanding you. Are you saying that you don't think there was actually a crisis in the SSA? Or you think there was one?
There has always been a crisis in any institution of the national security apparatus, where the politicians continue to insist that every time they come into power, they must recreate the national security apparatus in their image and likeness. And from the PP government to the present, SSA has been the boboli of political intervention into and reinvention and invention of the national security apparatus. So when you come into power, you purge, you get all the court cases, you put in your people, the crisis continues, because it is a crisis of conceptualization and operationalization. That is what it is. It is not a crisis that will be solved by putting people in positions of power that you say are politically correct.
But the SSA threat, according to the Office of the Prime Minister, was a national security threat. It wasn't just about mismanagement or something like that. It was coded as a national security threat. And I don't know if you had an opportunity to read the dailies this morning, but one of the dailies certainly has an investigative report that talks about a military-style pro-Christian government. I don't know how legitimate this story is, but that's what's being indicated in terms of their investigative reporting.
Yes, but one of the mark busters in the media, all of these so-called investigative reports is simply reporting what other people tell them. And it is clearly apparent in what they are reporting. Those other discourses have an agenda.
So you don't think it was a national security threat?
No, the fact of the matter is that if you have people pushing out ideas of an imminent national security threat and an attempt at seizing power, whatever they are spinning, the fact of the matter is they have an agenda. Because if you have a valid national security threat, to put it in the public domain, you are not interested in mitigating it with the minimum of impact upon the social order. You intend to destabilize the social order. So we have gone now in a new direction.
But Darius, if there is such a significant move by a cabinet guided by a National Security Council to remove and put into abeyance, aka administrative leave, the director of the country's top intelligence gathering agencies amid what has been described as a shakeup, don't you think the Prime Minister owes the country an explanation for that?
Well, in the first place, you have to understand that you can have a threat to national security, the details of which you cannot wash in public like dirty linen.
But how did he wash it in public? He just said it was a national security threat. What it?
Yeah, but that in itself is a political discourse.
Well, he's a politician.
Yes, but the fact of the matter is politics and national security threats and how you mitigate them don't exactly march in lockstep. Because what is your political imperative does not necessarily enable you to mitigate that threat with the minimum of dislocation to the social order.
How do you separate a prime minister in our context, who is, no matter who the prime minister is the head of the National Security Council, and who has to advise the cabinet, I guess, if he or she feels there's a threat? You cannot separate the political entity from that. How can you?
Yes, but the political entity is charged with responsibility, where you are expected at times to park the politics and do what is right, especially in national security. National security is a domain that has to be clothed with a necessary level of secrecy. So I see people raising all kind of issues in Trinidad and Tobago to wash national security matters in public.
Are you suggesting, Mr. Figueroa, that this change at the SSA could have happened without the public knowledge? Are you suggesting that?
What I am saying, I'm not suggesting, is that the fact that you who are in power put those people in place who you are now removing speaks to the utter failure of the politics of race in Trinidad and Tobago.
Race?
Because the basis of our electoral politics is race.
How does race come into the appointment of an SSA director?
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
Well, apparently you all want to go in left field if you all do not yet grasp the imperatives of the politics of race since '62. So when you come into power and you purge the leadership of the SSA, and then the next crew come into power and they purge those who you put in place, what is that going on there? So what you are watching me and telling me is that I could never have a career track through the SSA, that one day I will end up the director.
Mr. Figueroa, how concerned about you, given the developments and the information that we have in the public domain now, that the director has been sent on administrative leave. Now the deputy director, there's been a development regarding seizure of some devices. I think a phone is still reposed with her, and suspension of her duties at some level, and other persons, and the questions about the hiring practices and the alignment on based on what you see in the media with a church in terms of the integrity of the organization.
Well, the fundamental reality is you made the appointment to the post, you fill the post. So the question that arises in my mind is, do you have in place within the SSA an investigative unit charged with investigating internal affairs and then reporting to the National Security Council as to what is going on in the SSA? Because in all civilian covert agencies, you have a unit charged with that task. So that is your oversight unit to ensure the integrity of the institution.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because in the words of the Prime Minister, it didn't seem to have come from, or it may have, I don't know. The information came from the TTPS. And information is brought to the National Security Council that's thought it necessary to act with dispatch. Do you think then that it casts a shadow on information that may have been provided from the SSA over whatever time period, because we don't know how long this issue has been in existence, about the information that was being passed from the SSA, which is the country's top intelligence gathering agency. Again, decisions on national security are made or have been made based on information in part or in whole from this agency. Do you think that information may have been compromised and so decisions not being made with the best possible information?
Yeah, but the most important reality that has to be understood and investigated in the SSA is what is the role of transnational organized crime in this whole bacchanal? And that is what nobody is asking. Because what you have to understand, all organs of the national security apparatus are targeted by transnational organized crime to corrupt. The Colombians have been here since the second half of the decade of 1960s, and they have been here unhindered. Now we have another model present with another different modus operandi, and they all target the national security apparatus, the judiciary.
So are you suggesting that the SSA may have been infiltrated by the Colombians?
Well, if after all these decades you have been in Trinidad and Tobago and you have not penetrated all these organs of national security, well, then you are a joker.
So I'm asking you, I'm not asking you, but I'm asking you about if you are making a suggestion that the SSA has been infiltrated by elements of transnational drug and gun running operation.
Well, I am answering in keeping with their business model. That is how they operate. It is not my business to go and mako people in SSA to do that kind of work. It's the politicians.
But you are making a statement about a operating model without seeming to be able to say whether it's happened or not. So you are bringing something into the conversation unless you have data that you're not willing to share without saying whether or not, because you brought it into the conversation. You say their model of operation is to infiltrate all arms of national security, but you're not willing to say whether they have or not. So
yeah, but if I describe a business, an illicit business model, why then do I have to provide evidence that it is in fact has infiltrated SSA? That is not my business.
I bring it into the conversation.
No, well, that is not my business. My work is not to go into an institution, unlike the spy from the East, to determine who is in there and what.
So then I could say, in theory, that there is a business model of criminals in Trinidad and Tobago to infiltrate small businesses like, for example, XY rum distributors and don't provide any evidence that they have or they haven't. What's the point of bringing it into the conversation? Anything is possible, but
no.
But if you can't provide some definitive link, what's the point of bringing it into the conversation?
Because how far I could go is to simply tell you this: if it looks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it tastes like a duck and quacks like a duck, then it has to be a duck. And you always look first for Occam's ratio. Right? So I am telling you now that it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, and it eats and tastes like a duck. Make up your mind then if it's a duck.
Mr. Figueroa, the alleged church link to the SSA and our national security apparatus. What are your thoughts on that?
All I could go on, the main discourse for that I go on is what Mr. Pastor Man keeps saying in public. And what has been stated in public is that the former director of SSA has a personal link with the pastor.
Yeah.
And according to the pastor, this link has now been operationalized by having him work with the former director in SSA. That is what the man says.
Mhm.
Other than that, I don't know if it's true or not.
But based on your research and so on, and the knowledge that you're expounding, do you believe the pastor to be telling the truth?
I have no means to ascertain whether it's truth or lie because I have no access to persons and the files to determine if he's lying or not.
Mm.
So I therefore have no intention to make no judgment on the veracity of what you're saying because I have no means to accurately verify it. You need to speak to people, you need to read files. I don't have that access.
What are your thoughts? I want to change gears. What are your thoughts on the ship that ran aground on the reef in Tobago and the subsequent find of cocaine, I think, on the beach in the context of potential criminality?
Where is the tugboat and the crew from the barge and the crew from the tugboat?
I don't know.
Nobody knows. That is simply another case of it looks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, and it eats like a duck. That is another case.
And what are your thoughts on the killing of the 4 people at a garden, an agricultural camp earlier this week? Seemingly execution style. Is that also a case of a walk like a duck, talk like a duck, quack like a duck?
In Trinidad and Tobago today, you get killed for the simplest of reasons. So to explain a killing action external of the terrain will be simply ridiculous on my part. In Trinidad and Tobago today, people are getting killed for the simplest of reasons. That is the extent to which the violence permeates the society.
Mm-hmm.
There have been 2 recent huge drug busts, one in Cedros and one in central Trinidad, marijuana and or cocaine. In the past, there have been conversations about the fallout from those kinds of busts by the police, and congratulations to the police and those interventions. What do you expect to happen when, and then we had the Mayaro thing some months ago. What are the repercussions of those in the local criminal underworld when those kinds of interventions happen?
Well, the boss in Cedros had a message to everybody. The message was that finally it was confirmed officially that Crispy is in Trinidad.
Who?
It has been here for the longest while, but officially no. Crispy is here.
What is that name you called, Mr. Figueroa?
Crispy is a high THC potency ganja being produced in Colombia now and moved to Venezuela to the rest of the Caribbean, because in the Caribbean we just simply love to burn. So what is happening now, Crispy is spreading throughout the Caribbean, so it is a new product to replace Colombian Kush because of its potency.
And where is this Crispy coming from?
Colombia, comes to Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
So what we noticed in Cedros, we had foreigners guarding the Crispy shipment in the swamp. When the police reached, every man jack escaped, disappear, gone. Shipment gone, nobody held.
Is it for local consumptions or transshipment?
You don't transship ganja. When Crispy is going up the islands, it leaves via Margarita. When it is coming to Trinidad and Tobago, it leaves via Sucre State. A lot of people in Trinidad still talking like if Delta Amacuro is a big drug jump-off point from Venezuela. No. The big drug jump-off point to Venezuela is now Margarita and Sucre State.
So there's crispy here. There's hydro, something they called the other day.
No, that's crispy.
Or the hydro, whatever it is crispy.
The hydro thing in Venezuela and Colombia, they call it crispy.
So that's the same thing the police identified as the hydro. Is it
Yeah,
hydro?
yeah.
Hydro, something or the other. So that is a new iteration of marijuana with a different level of potency.
Yes, it is. They are marketing it as a higher potency ganja than the Colombian Kush.
What are the side effects of that? If it's is it that it makes it more addictive? Is it that it gives you a better head? What is the advantage of it?
Well, it's just THC working on you, and it's supposed to prolong the high. But it's an illicit product. You have no lab that you carry to determine if it is really crispy.
And that is being imported for local use.
Yeah, all through the Caribbean it's gone.
Is this coming from the same plant-based substance?
Yeah.
Mr. Figueroa, how hopeful are you that we could fix our problems with regard to this drug problem and criminal problem that we have in the country?
Well, the fact of the matter is that from regime to regime, we continue to generate the same problems and fail to fix the same problems. Shows the dire straits we in. Because this whole bacchanal ain't not new.
So do you think a completely different regime will fix it?
No. The alternatives waiting in the wings certainly ain't no sustainable replacement. Because it's the conceptualization of politics that is the problem.
Okay.
So what do you expect to happen in the next couple of months in terms of the crime situation in Trinidad and Tobago?
What happens with the crime situation in Trinidad and Tobago in the next few months is entirely dependent on what is going on with the war between the Colombians and the Mexicans. There has been a apparent rise in the homicide rate, the murder rate. You see, now it is scrambling to catch up with the same level it was last year. And the level of violence, multiple victim violence at a given operation is the means they use to carry us over 500 every year. Multiple victims.
What do you say that Jamaica's crime situation has improved?
Jamaica is in transition. Jamaica is in transition. The order is in transition.
Would you say the crime situation and the impact on Jamaica has improved?
But the fall in the murder rate in Jamaica so far this year, that still leaves them with the means and the opportunity to just simply accelerate. The lesson of Jamaica is where the violence has gone to now.
So there is, even if it's temporary, a temporary improvement.
Yeah.
What has accounted for that?
That is the dynamic on the ground.
What does that mean?
That is the dynamic on the ground, because the violence capital of Jamaica has now spread out of East Kingston, and it is in areas in Jamaica now that have never been before traditionally violent.
But you said the general crime situation has improved. What would have been the factors contributing to that in Jamaica?
What is realities on the ground. And those are very hard to explain because they change from area and zone to zone. It all depends what is going on in those zones, in gangland in those zones.
Would it have anything to do with any sort of government initiative, crime fighting?
The government initiatives in Jamaica remain the same. Social control.
All right. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr.
Appreciate your
Figueroa.
time and your contribution.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All the best to you, journalist Darius Figueroa. Thank you so much. All right, gentlemen. It is 18 minutes before the hour of 8 o'clock.
Let's take some calls.
Yeah. We got a whole heap of messages during that period.
Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't continue the conversation. I had an emergency came up.
I figured. I mean, I understood the emergency.
There is loaded sarcasm.
Or you can't pay me for this, no?
Be sarcastic.
Or you
I
can't pay
don't
me.
know how to be sarcastic. I only know how to be truthful.
Right
I keep
now,
telling you that. You have a problem with my truthfulness.
I need to boost my zinc, my copper, my potassium, my magnesium, everything.
I just know how to be truthful, you know. Can't hide it.
Ooh, 222 talk.
Yeah, we're taking your calls 222 talk 222-8255. Of course, we will provide more clips. Hopefully, some clips with
I don't. On a serious note, I don't know if maybe Darius is being a lot more
cautious
with what he says, because I don't know if he's received threats in the past, because he's been very outspoken and direct in the past, and he's seeming to circumvent and drift and.
He agent to her.
Yeah. I agent too.
Yeah, but not all of us age the same way. You see how I agent? I'm throwing down water on myself, all kind of thing. That don't happen to him. That never used to happen to me.
Remember your water is the fountain of youth. So maybe that's why you're throwing the water on yourself now.
Look that I'm in my neighborhood 2 days ago by my neighbor because he doing some work there. And I think I told you all about this. Did I? No, I didn't tell you all about this. And I'm talking to my neighbor, and a man driving by stop. When they see him, so I watch him. I don't know him. Yeah, man, this story on radio. I said, Lord Father, so I can't talk in my own neighborhood now. I can't move my mouth in my own neighborhood. Sometimes I go places and I just need to hush. You see how people will see you all and recognize you all because you all are always out there in the public domain. They know me by my voice.
And what would you say about me? What would you say regarding me?
Huh?
Like I hide at all then?
No, you can't hide.
All right, we have some calls. Let's go to it. Good morning, caller.
Hey, morning.
Morning,
Mr. Rasta wig. That's what Richard. You have a Rasta wig. Let me know.
Morning, Wendell. Morning, everybody. Morning, boy.
Morning, Mr. Patrick.
So, you're so long and you're listening to certain people, certain things. We not really black day or dark day according to the guy. You know? Like when we seem to have a little glimmer of hope, there no hope. Let me tell you, is it a drug culture?
Once you have life, there's hope.
The hope that's in the world. When there is some programs that will be on TV where they show the way police DA and then people intercepting drugs. Everybody now transporting drugs now.
Yes.
You might do it. But you'll be surprised, you know. Sometimes some people, look, 4 people get shot in a camp. That don't happen there, sir. Nobody in
court. That was over a land dispute. These things aren't always tied to drugs.
Yeah, well, we don't know because nobody in court has said nothing about that. But the majority of assassination in Trinidad is over drugs. And what the guy was talking about, a lot of people don't understand the difference between certain marijuana. The worst thing this government ever did in Trinidad and Tobago was to decriminalize certain amounts of marijuana. And I keep asking this question, it's have local marijuana being used again. People going to high grade marijuana, mix up with certain oil and drugs that will make you go mad. Oh yeah, we want help in this country.
We want help in the world. Trust
Thanks,
me.
Mr. Patrick. Good morning,
international news.
I need to read some of this article, you know, y'all. It is chock full.
Go ahead.
It is chock full of information.
Go ahead.
Morning, caller. Hold on.
Yeah, morning. I wanna make 3 little points quick. You see that you say them gosh, what is your name again? You want me to blue jersey there?
Paul,
Eh.
one with the blue jersey day.
Who
What
is that?
radio station you feel you're on?
you see the only thing that you say in the areas and you feel if you get threatened or something. I got that impression a long time ago because the things he just say, I just wonder, the things that he just talk about and the kind of things he just say, the kind of, well, I have to say truth he just come out with is very incriminating about certain things. So I suspected that, and what you was talking about just now, when you say that things water train on water on yourself and things. You see
You
that?
want the
You're
black
talking
jersey?
about the
You
fella
want
in
the
the
black
black
jersey?
jersey.
You
You're
want the
talking
black
about the
jersey?
fella in the
Yeah,
black jersey day.
that is a serious thing with age. I went to a doctor in Barataria, and he was asking me certain things, and asking if certain things was happening. It wasn't happening yet, but it started to happen now, and I realized it's certain things with your nerves, little thing will just drop out your hand and thing just so. That is because you have lost, and you don't know it. You have lost feeling and the nerve endings and those kind of little things.
Caller, all I do is knock over the bottle of water. You know?
Wendell, you have company to lie about.
No, that is a fact.
I hear you, but that wasn't that is not what happened to me. It didn't just
Yeah.
fall out, man.
But then you and that man can't go on lime and drink together.
No.
All right. Chewing on beers all day.
Very sure you feel jolly, you'll experience it as well you go along. And lastly, I have a video. I would really like to share that with all you with Mr. Darius talking here now. Some Venezuelan people doing some kind of act with some people like they catch them fishing in the water. I would really like to share that with my can't show it for you could share it among all this, and I really like to show you what these people doing. It is ridiculous. I don't want to say this thing, so I don't want to anything everybody but real devil behavior. If you see what these people doing to live people, they kill them.
We don't need to talk about it.
I think I saw that video was sent to me blurred and I didn't open it. But it had a warning attached to it.
It's absolutely gruesome.
It had a warning attached to it.
And there is no evidence that somebody said that it came from years ago in Mexico.
So let me read a little bit of the article. I'm reading the article from the Trinidad and Tobago Daily Express. This is not Power 102. So, a Christian organization, well, I read that part with a minuscule membership of less than 100 persons, dominated one of the country's most sensitive security agencies and was at the center of a takeover plot. A quarter of the church's members were employees of the SSA. The church is led by, the guy who we interviewed yesterday, who was employed by Best at SSA on a starting salary of $10,000, which was increased shortly thereafter to $23,000 a month. Brown was a special reserve police officer. Unlike other churches, the membership of the Jerusalem Church is determined by invitation, which tended to be focused on persons with a military background. A top official at the SSA, who is a member of the church, facilitated the hiring of many of the church members in the SSA, circumventing the vetting process in many instances, and strategically placed church members in senior management, which included head of human resources, finance, as well as senior positions in technology, cybersecurity, and administration. The deputy director, intelligence, is also a member of the church. Sources said the top officials sought permission to recruit 300 additional members of staff, but the request was denied by cabinet. The police became alarmed when they heard 2 interviews on a radio station, Rebuilding the Nation According to Christian Biblical Perspectives, in which Pastor Brown indicated the best way for the country to be run was by people with a military background and a foundation in religion. Brown is said to have exercised great moral authority with the membership, even to the point of causing the breakup of marriages. This is particularly relevant to Wendell, I guess. In one case, a Coast Guard captain is said to have left his spouse, and in another, a senior SSA member left her spouse to cohabit with another senior SSA official based on the prophecy of the church leader.
Wow.
It became a cult-like, Jim Jones-like organization, a source said. Andy Daniel, a relative of a senior SSA official, went to Miami on vacation and returned to find the locks in his home had been changed. He visited the church over the situation and during the conversation was offered a glass of coconut water. He collapsed shortly thereafter and spent 4 days at the hospital. And when he recovered, he went to confront a church official. That was the end. This was at the end of October 2023. By October 11th, Daniel was dead, shot and killed as he drove in the vicinity of the Caroni flyover.
My goodness.
Isn't all of this bizarre?
But that
have
story,
come-
that part about Andy Daniel and being the husband of the deputy director, that is true. We know that for a fact. We know for a fact that he was in fact murdered. We know that as a fact. But that part about him drinking coconut water in the church and collapsing, we don't know that.
Let me tell you what is, and I'm sure this would have been part of the discussion. I'm almost sure with the National Security Council, if indeed, and it seems more and more that it's true, that an organization which is part of national security apparatus has been implanted with several members of any church or any organization holding senior positions, what is to say that the direction of the organization may not be in some way manipulated by those persons in that position when they are congregating otherwise?
That is true.
You understand?
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Jonathan,
then they are of like mind, and that's why I guess, Richard, the article is talking about takeover. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can have that level of influence in any organization, including a cabinet perhaps, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
That you have so many persons of a particular organization infiltrating, being implanted with, being hired, being recruited, and the recruitment process is questionable because that's what we're seeing over and over, suggesting some sort of potential implantation. You have real problems. My question in all this is, and I think Darius mentioned it, and we mentioned it yesterday, what was the oversight of the state in this organization to allow this to happen for so long and to get to this level?
Yeah.
Well, obviously there was some level of oversight, or at least some level of information, because some of the other articles says there are sub-articles underneath this article which are indicating that the church was under surveillance for a while.
For 3 months.
I suppose, while the TTPS, I suppose, investigated it. Now, I mean, they're saying some very condemnatory sort of things in this article. So to me, if they're not true, you should certainly take the newspaper to court.
Mm-hmm.
You should take the newspaper to court because it's besmirching the reputation of the church. It's besmirching, inverted commas, of course, personal reputations by inference and stuff like that.
Richard,
this is not true.
It will all go back to, at the end of the day, someone who is given a position of director has immense power in an organization like that. Eh?
Yeah.
right, gentlemen, we have a call here holding for a long time, so let's grab it quickly. Good morning.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning.
I think one of the well, first of all, the fact that cronyism is at play here is not surprising. I think this is not the first time we've seen this sort of situation play out. From Rishmi come forward, I think the director after who had questions. Well, the director after who, I think he was an ASP in the police, had some questions as well under his tenure. In intelligence communities, when these things kind of come up, one of the things that you tend to see is like the misuse of resources for personal gain. That is, and they call it love-ins, right? So, for instance, you're using like your intercept capabilities to spy on a spouse or the significant other of an ex, etc. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's what was taking place with respect to Andy Daniel, where resources were being used in this sense. I think with respect to the this, the national security implications, I think, would be that you have a loss of trust between the SSA and the TTPS. And if you recall, going back as far as that study that was it Major General Brown, or was it Best did after the coup? These type of problems where you have the left hand doesn't trust the right hand. That's our biggest problem. And
but Caller, put a pin there. The Prime Minister made a statement. Yes, I like to read between lines. The Prime Minister said all is being done to right the ship, which means the ship went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I agree.
And if the ship has gone wrong, what has been compromised while the ship was wrong?
Well, I think,
let me tell you something. Any relationship, and I use that word loosely here, with anybody in the military arms of this country or in any country is a potential danger. That's all I'm about. That's all I'll say there.
There is a reason that countries follow a doctrine of separation of church and state.
Exactly.
There's a reason for that.
Yep.
Okay? And there's and anyway. Stop, Paul. Stop.
All right.
No, we will have to talk about it one day, because if we have to talk about it, you might have to hear my story.
All right. Thank you, caller.
There is a reason for the separation of church and state doctrine. When you started commingle the two, and decisions start being made by divine intervention or inspiration, and not data.
But we saw
and because of someone's particular religious persuasion and not established principles in operation in that particular sector, you start having problems.
We saw where this led us already. We saw it. Why are we going down this road, sir? And this is not just about Christians. It's all
over the world and many different religions.
Yeah.
It's all over the world and many different religions.
Yeah, it is dangerous when people start
getting to that
fanatical
for the
point.
Separation of church and state doctrine.
Yeah. They get to a fanatical point where they feel that they have total control. You mix that Christian
or some want to influence total control.
Right. So you mix that fanaticism with military power. That's a dangerous person.
As Dr. Job say, when people tell you they're talking to God, run.
Boss it. You used to say boss it.
I talk to God all the time.
No, when God is talking to God and God talking to them.
God talks to me all the time. I don't understand what you say.
But then we need to run from you.
You all have a great day. Be safe out there.
We running now.
When then we need to bust it.
We busting it now.
All right.
Folks, have a wonderful day. We're going to let God.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a fantastic day, people. Whatever you do, remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health. And no matter what the problems are that the country faces, we will solve them.
All right, gentlemen, let's get an 8 o'clock news brief.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is 8 a.m. in Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 8 a.m. on News Power Digital. There have been crises in all aspects of national security's apparatus. This, according to criminologist Darius Figuera. He spoke on the Power Breakfast Show this morning and said the SSA has been the bubbly of all governments as they come into power because of the many changes that they've had to go through. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has asked the public to be patient as an investigation into the SSA takes place. Figuera said that national security is a domain that has been clothed with high levels of secrecy. He says while many have asked for more information on the recent decisions being made to the SSA, that would not be wise. He noted the importance of ensuring protection of TNT's national security. He said all organs of national security apparatus have been targeted by transnational crime. While he made the statement on the show, he acknowledged he did not have any information or data to support his comment. He also stated he could not agree nor disagree with recent claims made by Pastor Ian Brown, as he had no proof that he was telling the truth. The Strategic Services Agency's Deputy Director of Intelligence, Joanne Bartholomew Daniel, was suspended yesterday, Tuesday, along with 5 other employees, pending the outcome of a wide-ranging police investigation. Electronic devices were taken from at least 5 SSA personnel amid the ongoing probe. However, Daniel's phone was not taken away from her during the suspension. The employees were suspended following a meeting that took place with Acting SSA Director, Brigadier Anthony Philip Spencer. And this new development at the SSA followed a claim yesterday that government had a list of people who they were planning to remove from the SSA. Pastor Ian Brown told the Power Breakfast Show yesterday he was prepared to release information on the activities of certain ones at the SSA if the list touched certain persons. He revealed there are reasons why there are leaks in the SSA and said there's the other person they're trying to remove that knows as much as he does. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister has asked the public to be patient as the investigation into the SSA takes place. Following the sword-turning ceremony at the Citrus Close housing development yesterday, the PM was questioned about the latest developments regarding the SSA, the country's top intelligence agency. He assured action is being taken to right the ship. And that is news to 8 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We love major news coming up at 12 noon. Good morning.